Okay, welcome back. So this is the second video. In the first one, I drew that kind of flowchart to symbolize what we're going to do here. Even when I'm not sure how the particular functions and classes will work, to just build the main function. And it's obviously not going to work, right? But we just use the objects and the functions and the methods to create what we want. And then when we already see how they're used, for me, it's much easier to then build the functions and classes to do what I want them to do, right? So instead of, uh, so here, instead of the high level that we did last time, I like to start more low level. So I start at the main function, the final thing, and then I build up the supporting functions and whatever else I need for it to work. All right, so here's the preset that I use, just in general when I'm starting. Uh, yeah, if you're unfamiliar, IO stream, this is for cout, right? So you can write to the terminal. IO manip, this is for, well, I'm on Mac, so this is for system clear. It's actually right here, right? This that clears the terminal. Strings is to use strings. I was wrong. Sysdlib is for clearing the terminal. Iomanip is before cout. Well, you're gonna see basically. You can write set w, and then here you can write a value, and then it's gonna format it more nicely with the space and breaks. Limits, you're gonna see why we need that. Chrono and thread is yes for time manipulation. So when you need a delay for something, and random, we're gonna see that also later for getting a random card. So that's what we need. Right. Now let's build the actual main function. What do we need? I'm going to move this down. So first let's declare the variables. So we need two players. So this is going to be a class. Let's do player, the player. That's going to be us. And let's do player, the dealer. All right. So, and let's write down at the bottom what we're going to have to build. All right. So player class. Next, we're going to need a pot, right? So where the chips are going to go and what you're going to get after you win. Int pot 0. And we're going to have a game loop. Right? So for this, we need a boolean and the game. Oops. And it's going to be false. Goddamn. So while not end the game, so while end the game is false, this is what we're going to do. All right. So what else do we need? Yes. So let's move that up. Oops. What did I do? Move that up. So it clears the terminal each time, each new loop. And we're going to, so as you remember from the menu, the first is there's going to be a menu that's going to ask the person, do you want to quit or do you want to play? So let's create an integer called UC start. And for me, this is just my like naming convention that I do. UC in capital stands for user choice, right? So I don't type that out every time. I just write UC and then for me it's easier. So UC start is gonna be the player dot start game. Okay, so we're going to need for the player uh start game method. And this is going to, what is it going to do? All right, so this is going to prompt the person what do they want? They quit or not? And yeah, it's going to be a method. Or I think it's going to be better if we do start the game with player, right? So we make it a separate support function. All right. and it's going to return an integer, right? It's going to return an integer. So now we need a few if else, right? So if UC start is 1, so there are going to be a couple of options, right? 1 leave, 2 1 play, 2 leave, right? So if UC start, here is where we're going to do the game, right? And else if, or really it's going to be just else, but you'll see why I don't write it like that. If UC start, then here is going to be quit. And why I wrote an else if statement is because I would like to also do this, like, so that you can see where the problem is, if there is some sort of problem. Int main and return, so that it immediately turns off and we can analyze what happened, right? So let's move that up, move the return to the quit, right? And all right, so here we have one game loop. We get the player to ask what they want. Here they play. Here they quit. And here this is just for logging purposes. All right, so we still have a. So how do we end this, right? End game. So probably let's not have a return. Let's have here set end the game to true. All right, so this may be a bit of code that's going to be here also around, because here, so imagine here's the play, here's quit. So here is going to be reset, right? Because we need after each round to reset all of the variables and the players. So because the players are going to have hands, so and the pot is also going to have to be reset. So the pot we set to 0 after each game loop, and let's go, yeah, the player and the dealer. How are we going to call it? Let's call it round over. All right, so that's going to be a method in the player class to basically clear their hand. Round over, clear hand plus new cards. All right, so we have kind of a basic skeleton. Let's expand on it a bit. All right, so I just referenced my actual project, and I think it's going to make more sense to call it start new round. You're going to see why, but basically we use this we use round over for a different function. And this is all good. And game, this is actually all that we're going to have here. So we can also close that up. So player quits, break loop. All right. Reset, yeah, that's pretty good. So this we have for logging. This we have uh, player quits. Here we have reset, so, and resetting the pot. Maybe I'm actually gonna move that up, I think, so that you can see that better. Yeah, also dealer right in front. So here, since we only have breaking the loop, right? We're going to have here the return 0. So quitting the actual program, breaking out of it. And here we're going to have display the stats. So the player, because that's us, leave. And here we're going to have the player leave game. So there's going to be display stats plus, yeah, it's just going to be display stats, and the return is going to be quitting the program, right? So we can actually, I think, even should I put the end round here? Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be reset. Yeah, because if there's an error, you don't need to show this. So everything's good. All right. So we have basic structure of the main int. We wrote down here what we need. Also we need, oops, we need leave game. So display stats. So now we get to the actual game. So how's that going to work? Okay, and here, this is actually going to be a bit hard to understand, but you're going to get it after we actually build it. So we're going to have a function called play round result, and we're going to plug in the player, the dealer, and the pot. So we're going to need as you can see here, play round result function. Oh wait, start game method. Do we need that? Start start game. I said it's not a method, it's a function. Apologies. All right. So if play round result with the player, the dealer, and the pot plugged in equals true, so it's over. Uh, let's go bool return. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Start game is int return, and here we have bool return. All right. So if play around result with the player, the dealer, and the pot plugged in equals true, then end the game true. So again, this is extremely abstracted away. So the int main is extremely easy, but as you can see, and as you're going to, well, yeah, you can see in the description, the actual code, it's gonna be about 700 lines. So this is just the highest level way of representing this. So play around result with the player, the dealer, and the pot. If that equals true, then end the game equals true. And so again, we break this loop. This gets reset, which again doesn't really have to happen, but it doesn't hurt, right? This start new round isn't going to have any output to the terminal. It's just going to change variables in the object of the player and the dealer. So we can just let that ride. Here too, actually we could just end round to true, but I don't want the stats to be displayed, right? And that's gonna happen. So here we do the return, and here we do end game. So this hits, then display stats, and then return. And here, play around result with these objects. If that's true, then end the game true. All right. So here is what we have to build, right? And what I like to do is emojis. You're going to probably notice this if you see the Git, my GitHub repository, right? So this is all we have to do. Next time we're going to start with the player class, right? So that's and start new round. Sure. Probably no. I think it's gonna be easier to start with the start game function because that's just it returns a single integer. Yeah. All right. So as I said, highest level possible. We'll close that up about how many? 53 minus 12, about 40 lines. That's the main integer. Um, there's a lot of stuff we're going to have to add to that. As said, it's going to be fatter. Hopefully, you can trim some of that up. But yeah, let's see. See you next time. Yeah, one more thing I forgot to add. or actually a mistake I made that I caught. Here I write when I declare integer pot, and here I use the pot. So I'm just gonna change it to the pot. And why we don't build it right now is because, well, as I said, nothing is really built, so it's just gonna be a bunch of errors if you want to see that. Hmm, only two, interesting. I would expect about 100. But yeah, so here's the mistake that I made. The pot, it's correct. This is what it's gonna be in the description. All right, see ya.